everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker Broadcasting Awesomeness. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FM Trend TV, where every day at this time slot, which is for us 1 o'clock Pacific, we are doing FileMaker training. Frequently, we get together with all sorts of awesome people in the FileMaker community to show and demonstrate, and not just demonstrate, but to hopefully teach you step one, step two, how to do something awesome. And that's what today's going to be about. Now, before I get to the upcoming broadcast schedule, I'm going to press this button over here and bring up the broadcast schedule for the next, say, week or so. Today and tomorrow is going to be some AI action with Vince and Will. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be pretty awesome. Lots of questions in flight. We haven't practiced this at all. I have no idea what's going to actually happen. I want all of you in the live stream world, so I'm going to be playing air traffic control along with Margaret, making sure that we get the questions, and we're going to do in-flight questions. So Will said he had a whopping 10 minutes of content, at least initially. I'm hoping all of you can ask questions about it, because I'm pretty sure he like instantly like cured cancer or something. So we got to slow him down, ask him how he did it, which is the goal. What are we doing and what's going on? So this is part of the FileMaker 21-24 release. So if you ask FileMaker what version you're using, it's version 21. Sales and marketing calls it FileMaker 2024. So what I want to do here is say hi to Vince. Vince, what are we talking about? We're doing AI stuff today, right? So this is the first official ship from a FileMaker product with AI functions built in. They've been doing AI before this with URL, JSON, curl integrations, where you're going out to other services and talking, etc. But now they've got some built-in functions, and I've seen them demoed, and it felt like I was at a convention for PhDs applying to the Mensa organization, right? So is there any way to like simplify this, or what's the plan for today? What are we doing?
We're stepping into the world of AI, and Claris is jumping in there and getting started. And so they already had some AI capabilities with Core ML and machine learning, etc. But now they're stepping in with some new added features, and they've categorized it too. So if you look in the scripts in the script workspace, you'll see a new section called artificial intelligence. And so all the AI stuff is going to be grouped under there, and there's more stuff coming in the future.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, this is your show, so where do we want to go? What do we want to do?
I'll let Will lead this part of the show. Because
so who is Will, and why do we care about Will? What is Will?
Will, go ahead.
All right. So I've been working with Vince now for 18 years. When I first came on at Beeswax, I didn't have any FileMaker experience, and Vince took me under his wing and trained me up and kind of turned me loose. So from a FileMaker perspective, I go way back, but from an AI perspective, I'm a total newbie. So I think it was at Claris Engage where I attended all the AI sessions and just thought, I want to be part of this. I've been asleep at the wheel since ChatGPT came out, and I got to be doing a lot of catch up.
Some of us are still asleep at the wheel. So your job is to try to help us, I guess. That would be great. All right, cool. Well, we don't have questions yet. So if you want to share your screen, Beverly says, okay, so WWDC is a worldwide developer conference. Yeah, there was a big deal yesterday, just as a short version, Apple's developer conference, and they're talking about how they're going to integrate AI kind of at a subtle, hopeful level in the next version of the operating system. But that's different than what we're talking about today. So let's go through this. What are we doing, Will?
All right, so I'm going to open up a file here, and this is a one field, one table file. The table is called string, and it has 500 records with a whole bunch of long strings, one sentence each. And the idea is that when I try to search for something to date before FileMaker 2024, FileMaker in its perform find supports lexical search, where we're looking for a specific word or part of a word.
Can you say that word again? What kind of search is that? A what search?
Lexical.
Lexical search. Okay, good. All right, keep going.
So like FileMaker for number fields, they give us these great operators. Like we can do ranges, and we can do wildcards, and same for the date fields. And for text fields, we can do some wildcards. But it's always just about the actual string of the words that we put in. And it's not about the meaning of those words. So where semantic search comes in is to give us a new way, in addition to our existing way, to say, well, I don't know how the user input their data. I don't know what words they chose. I don't know what order they go into. I need to find the records regardless of the word choice that people use. So semantic search says, well, I will try to help by trying to understand the meaning of the words in the field and try to help you find it that way. So rather than looking for the exact string, we're looking for the underlying meaning. And to do that, I'm going to walk us through the 3 new script steps that we'll need in order to do this. And we'll just look at the most simple version of each of those because there are some different configurations we can use, but we can maybe leave that till the Q&A part.
I think everyone here is brand new, and so simple to a basic, what Claris Marketing like to call an easy win or their first win is the goal for this. So yes, keep it simple.
So I'm just going to move this file aside for a second just so you can see my desktop, just to show you what those steps are. The first is to configure the AI account, which is a script step that allows us to say for this user session, which AI model should we be talking to?
What's an AI model?
An AI model is, for instance, I'm going to be using an OpenAI model, and that model is the way the large language model that has been trained for some specific purpose. So in this case, it's a general text-based purpose without any specific knowledge, but some general knowledge.
Okay, so back up. I'm going to ask questions as we go because I know these people ask these questions. So OpenAI, is it a company, right? That's a company?
That's right. OpenAI is a company.
Okay, and so when you say configure AI account, is this an account with the company? Because that's different than an LLM, right? So
yeah, that's a great point. So it is an account.
Go ahead and clarify that. See what's going to happen. So you haven't even got to the first thing yet. I've got 12 questions.
Yeah, so it is an account with a company. So for instance, any of us can go to ChatGPT without an account and start to use it. But to use the API in FileMaker, we have to have an account, for instance, with OpenAI. And that means it's a paid account, which means every time that we transmit a little bit of data to OpenAI, there's going to be a little financial charge. And so Vince can remind me of these numbers, but over the course of the last couple of months, I've been doing a bunch of testing. I've been making hundreds of thousands of calls, and I think it amounted to about $20 in cost. So far to me, it seems like a pretty reasonable cost volume, but there is that cost component for a commercial provider like OpenAI.
Okay, so we'll get to the competitor just a second. So OpenAI is the company. We're going to have an account with the company. ChatGPT, did I say that right, is a service from OpenAI. Is that correct? That's a front-facing service?
Yeah, I think particularly because I'm new to the AI space, I don't know if I could clarify that anymore. Particularly because
it's a product of that company, though, that organization, right? Correct? Whatever you want to call it, it's something they produce, right?
That's right.
So far we're going to configure an AI account and we're going to have it's going to go to OpenAI as a company, and then there's a large language. So keep going. I'm just making sure that we don't just slide past basic terminology here. Okay,
great. Once we've said like which account we're going to use, which means basically an account name and password, then we get to start using it. And so in step 2, I'm going to show how we create an embedding of our data. Okay. And an embedding is a numerical representation of a text string. And it's not intended to be human readable. So at some point after we're through this demo, I can show you what it looks like. And it's just this huge blob of numbers that's incomprehensible. But it basically allows us to take any 2 strings and compare them numerically. Or FileMaker will do that for us, so we don't have to do it. So that'll be step 2, where we create the embeddings of our data that we already have. And then in step 3, we're going to use the perform semantic bind script step, where we take some input, we create an embedding of that input, and then we look for records that match it semantically, meaning it has the meaning of that input string. Okay, so let's go ahead, and each of these is a different script step. So I'm just going to write these as 3 different scripts, and each script will have 1 step in it, which is just those script steps we talked about. So the first one.
Oh, I like this. You're already my favorite person for the day. A blank file. Perfect.
All right.
Okay, so configure AI. Okay, yep.
So we're going to do the configure AI script step. We'll need an account name, which we'll get to in just a moment. The provider here, I'm going to choose OpenAI. I have not tested with custom, but I think eventually we're going to get some questions about when we would want to use a custom.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the API key is basically the password. So we'll get back to that in a second.
Yep.
The second script step we'll call insert embedding. And you'll see there are two options here. For the ease of this demo, I'm going to choose the second option, but we can talk about the first one in a little bit. This is where I just say, I've got 500 records, create an embedding for all of them. Very simple.
So back up just for fun. So embedding is a single embedding against probably a field in a record, and the other one is all the fields in the found set. So it's like delete versus delete all or something kind of thing.
The first one, insert embedding, is for one record. Insert embedding is found set would be for all records in the found set. There is another nuance there I'd want to cover at some point, but
okay, that's fine.
I think
you're the instructor. You get to remember the nuances. I'm just trying to understand basics. Right?
Yeah, sorry. The script step to kind of have a parity with the perform find script step is called perform semantic find. So it might find a little confusing since in general people refer to it as semantic search.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got these three stubs here, and now we'll just kind of dig into each of them.
Nice.
So for the AI count, we need an account name and a key. And then eventually, for the other two steps, we're going to need a model. So as a developer, you're going to have to pick where do you store that information. The key in particular is sensitive, so you don't want to expose that to your users. And the way that you store it, you've got some flexibility there. You could do it directly in your script, particularly for the key. For the model and account name, you're going to use that in different scripts. So here we've got two different scripts. They both reference account name and model. So I recommend putting in some central location, a data record. Maybe it gets loaded into a global when the user first opens their app. So I'm going to go ahead and do it as global fields just to make it easy on us. I'm going to go into our string table. It has one field, and I'm going to add three more. I'm going to prefix it with LLM just in case you've got other account names in there. I'm going to make it a global. We're going to do a field for the key. That's the sensitive one. And then the model. I'm going to, just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to add it to the layout. So I've got a place where I can actually plug values in to those fields. I'll just do it in a little popover here. Little gear icon. Grab those three fields. No, this needs to be a little wider. Bring that over here. And again, because the key is sensitive, I'm going to use this cool concealed edit box feature.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so I now have a place to put these values.
Okay.
I've got this little file where I just am going to copy and paste in.
Oh, clever. Nicely done. I was wondering how you're going to do that.
I'll pause on this model for just a second, because that, I would have thought like the model would be called like ChatGPT or something like that.
Sure.
But OpenAI has a whole bunch of different models, and some of them, like ChatGPT, that is one of their generative models. That's what you would call if you wanted to ask it to create something for you.
Generative is referring to, you're asking it to generate a text or maybe a painting or a photo or something. So it's going to create something for you. Okay.
That's right.
And then so this is embedding model. Is that what you're saying? This is embedding model?
That's right. Just used to create these numerical representations of the data.
I was just going to say, it's you know, if you're new to this, you have to understand that these models are very sophisticated, and they kind of have a way to generate, you know, different numbers. Like each one is a different number. And they sometimes, what is this, 1,500?
Maybe 1,536 dimensions, yeah. Which when we look at the embedding, we'll kind of see all those dimensions. It's kind of a crazy number.
I tried to imagine, like, you know, two dimension, then 3 dimensions, like a X, Y, Z space. But then after 4 dimensions, I thought, okay, well, just add another line and all that. But a person at the .fmp conference, Nicholas Franco, who was presenting, and he's also an AI kind of expert. He said, don't think of it that way. Just think of it, think of each dimension and break it down individually. So it's just a long list of comma-separated numbers. and then you just think of it that way, and then we'll talk about the actual numbers and what they mean. But then don't try and overwhelm yourself in terms of trying to imagine 1,536 dimensions.
I'm impressed you can think in 4 dimensions, Vince. I top out somewhere between 2 and 3.
So we have it. So we went to their website. We set up an account. We gave them a credit card or whatever we did. Okay.
That's right.
And so now what are we going to do?
Okay, let's go to this first step, configure AI. And we're going to reference that account name field, which now includes the account name. We're going to reference our API key field, which now includes that key.
Yep.
I'm going to save my changes, and I'm going to execute the script. So that's done. Now that works for this session. So if I tie it into an on first window open script, then every user, as they enter your app.
It's a machine session, not a, I don't want to say the word Windows session, but it's a machine, your machine session in FileMaker, right? Correct?
That's right. Like you have that login to the app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will, did you create those fields as global or text?
He did. They're global. Yeah.
Global. Okay.
Yeah. I've been thinking I would probably store it in, some like sensitive data table. And then as the user logs in, I fetch those values. I would store the account name and the model in globals because those are not particularly sensitive and they can be referenced over and over. The key I would reference just once in a startup script that nobody has access to.
All right. So now what? So we've run this command. So it told FileMaker Pro this is the account we're going to use. Okay, great.
That's right. So anything else we do now in insert embeddings or perform semantic finds, if we ask OpenAI.
Yeah, okay, hang on one second. When we ran the configure AI, did it make a call to that service and validate it? It did. So you didn't do any air trapping. That's why I was like, so when we say configure AI, it's not just telling FileMaker that this is what we're going to use. It actually reaches out and touches that service somehow.
That's right.
So you could do an air trap to make, get last error or whatever. Okay, okay, got it.
Yep, you got it. Okay, so now we have to create the embeddings of our data, which is basically to say, I need to give semantic search something to search on that numeric understanding of the text field. So it doesn't exist yet. It's not going to search directly on my text field. So I'm going to have to create a new field, and I'm going to have to embed that numeric understanding of the data into that field.
Okay.
So here we're going to hit the.
There's the part where we do the training part or whatever. I keep hearing people, we're going to train the model or something. Is that what we're talking about?
No. So in this case, we're just accepting the model as is. Whatever, like Vince mentioned, those dimensions, we're saying we picked a model that we liked, and we're not going to touch it. It's not going to be changed.
The embed 002, whatever model that was. Okay, great. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we're not going to train the model. I guess we could train it if we wanted to be like a medical doctor. You have a medical one or whatever, but this is just kind of like a random. Models are this is random. Okay, good.
Okay, so we've got the account name. Now here's the first time I'm going to reference the model name, and it has to be an embedding model. You'll get an error if you pick like one of ChatGPT's generative models. And then we have to say, well, what field are you using as your source? Like what is the text you want to embed? So I'm going to pick that first field string that we saw. And then it's going to say, okay, now where do you want me to put the embedding after I create it? That field doesn't exist yet. So we're going to create it. You can have it as text. I recommend doing it as a container. It takes up less storage and it will be more performant.
Would never have guessed that. I would never have guessed that with a container because containers are always less friendly than a text field. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to skip these two parts for now. So we basically said, here's the model we're using. Here's what I want to embed and here's where I want you to put it. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to execute it. Now this is going to take a little bit. It's probably going to take 30 seconds maybe. So we're going to run it. We're going to see it do it on all 500 records.
So it's sending, okay, just to be clear about this, it's sending the string to OpenAI and it's getting back this, whatever this is. The
1,536 embeddings.
Dimensions of multi-dimensional megaverse, Marvel moment. But it's putting those in the embedded field. Okay. So this, just as a side note for everyone, while we're learning the basics here, this is one of those moments where you've sent the data out of the company, and if this had nuclear weapon secrets or super secret, whatever stuff, then you've just exposed it to God knows who, right? Should be secret and confidential, assuming that no one hacks the systems that OpenAI, right? So I'm just saying, just keep that in mind. There are ways of doing this internally, but once again, this is the basics for this moment. Okay, cool.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so now we've created embeddings for every one of these records, and now we're very close to being able to search on it. We just need a few more pieces. So let's go into our perform semantic find step. I'll come back to this configuration here. We're going to leave it as natural language for now, which basically means the user types in whatever they want, and we'll create an embedding from that. We're going to once again pick our account name and our model. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. I'm going to dive in here and it's asked me the target field, which is what is the embedding field you want me to search on? So that's the embedding field we just created and that we just populated with our second step. And so here is where it's saying, okay, what's the text you want me to search for? In this case, we'll simulate doing a user input text. And so I'm just going to create a new field. I'll call it input. I'll make that a global field. Reference it here. I'm going to save my script. Now I just need to expose that field on the layout.
That search field, yeah.
Yep. And that script that we just authored, I'm going to add that.
What are on object?
This is a very simple on object save script trigger. And I think I'll just do one extra nicety here, which is I want to go to next object using return. Okay, so now we have a search field. It's just asking me to use it. It's saying, hey, I've got this cool new feature. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to do a few that I've already kind of tested out. It's 500 records, so there's a finite amount of information in there that can be searched.
So now stop. This search is it going to go out to OpenAI or going to go out the internet at all? No.
No. So now it's done.
So because you got the embeddings. Okay, you guys are really doing a great job. This is the first time I've seen this dumbed down to normal human levels and not like, hey, look how bright I am, right? This is great. I love this. I like that distinction too about, like Richard brought up you're sending your data out of the company when you create the embeddings. Yes.
And I think of it also in terms of like that financial cost. Like we also paid, like when I created the embeddings for the 500 records, there was this tiny little charge to the account.
How much was that? Do we have an idea? Like, was that like, do we spend 20 or 30 cents or a dollar?
I can look it up and see. Hold on,
I think much lower, like per record, it'd be like a fraction of a penny.
Oh, okay. But I'd have some customers with 1 million records and they'd be like, okay. But that would be interesting. So
okay, ready?
Go ahead and do this. Show this working because I'm assuming I know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to search for like a large feline with stripes.
Okay.
So boom, we've got 10 records.
Oh, feline. See, it figured out that lions and cats and tigers are associated with the word feline. Okay, got it.
That's
Zebra.
Right. Has stripes. It's not a feline.
Has stripes, so that's not a cat. Fur.
It's large.
So, and once again, so this isn't like, there used to be that old joke. I would say, Margaret, go do this. And she goes, I was really close. And then we'd always say, close is only good for playing horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except that this is also, or AI, right? Because some of this is somewhat subjective. Is that not?
That's right. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think, too, the search term itself, right now, because we did the bare bones, it's configured to return 10 results. And it doesn't care, like it's going to take the 10 best results, but it doesn't mean that these 10 results are that good compared to the results we would get if we did a different search term on that data set.
Yeah, so let me back up. So is it going to get 10 that the highest 10 that it scores? I mean, you could say something in here like, come up with something totally different, like a yellow forklift or something. And
let's see.
Yellow forklift is a piece of equipment. All right, so fluorescent lights buzz overhead, harsh glow, wooden surface, no. Golden, no. Deep breath, orange ball journey, no. Community fun. Okay, this is an epic fail. So the question is as a new person, did this thing provide a scoring of how close it thought it was when it did this?
Yes. So let's expose it.
Yeah,
It'll
let's
be easier for us
expose
to.
because I would want it to say, hey, no records match request, or everything else seems sketchy, whatever.
Okay, so first we're going to create a field where we're actually going to store the embedding of the search term itself so that we can more easily reference it. So just like we created a field for the embedding of the record string, we're going to create an embedding of the input. I'm also going to make that a container field. And because that's like the input, it's going to be a global as well. I'm going to come back into the style of it in a second.
And in that case, when we do the search, it's going to have to go out there and get that one embedding. Okay, yep. Because we don't generate our embeddings, we go to the online service to get the embedding and bring it back and save it in FileMaker. Okay, good.
And the way we did it before with the perform semantic find using natural language, we fed to the script step whatever the user typed as an input, and then we told the script step and now embed it using this model. But there's a different way to do that where we say, I already know the embedding. And we'll show how we get that embedding in just a second. But if we say, I already have the embedding for it, you don't need to go out and create an embedding right now. I can just say, and here is that embedding.
Yeah.
Now this doesn't, on its own, doesn't work because we actually haven't created that embedding yet. So I'm going to add one more script step. Oops, step field. And now here I'm going to use a new function called get embedding. It's just like the script step. And the only reason we're doing this differently, where we're actually storing the embedding, is because, to Richard's question, if we want to expose like how good of a result is this? Like how close does this result match our search term? Then we want to be able to reference, well, what was the embedding of the search term? And I don't want to keep sending that search term over and over and over again for every single record. So we'll just store it once to minimize our cost and then improve our performance. So here we're saying, please, here's the input string from the user, create an embedding of it, stick it in this field, and then pass that field to the semantic find script step.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and do the same search again. Yellow forklift. We get the same results, but now I can go into layout mode and add a new field.
Yeah, you keep going here. I'm going to talk out loud. So the idea for everyone is that if we say, hey, we're using AI and it's so great, and it returns really dumb results, what we would consider as dumb, people are not going to understand that AI is not necessarily dumb. It's what we set up was dumb. All right, so what do we, I'm sorry, just go ahead. So there we go. It's a comparison here. Is that what this is?
That's right. And I don't understand the math behind it, so I'm just going to leverage the magic. So the cosine similarity is asking for two embeddings. So we're going to pass it the embedding of the record itself and the embedding that we've now cached from the search term. The output will be a number. And typically that number is going to be between -1 and 1, where -1 means like they are really dissimilar, and 1 means they are perfectly similar.
Oh.
And when we run search results, like I'm thinking yellow forklift is going to put us in the 0.7 range. Like not a great match. Like we'll be able to see some other examples. Oh, you think it'd be that high?
It'd be that high? Because it was really...
I know, it seems so off. But
I mean, it should be, that should be -0.5 or something, way down at the other end. Okay.
I've had to work very hard to like get below like 0.5.
Really? Okay.
All right, let's add this.
At some point, Will, you should show the actual text.
Yeah, because people are asking about that, and it's just it's a mathematical construct that doesn't make sense to unless you're. I don't know. I'm a legit no shit engineer, and for me, it's intimidating. So you have to be a math major that loves this, and then it would maybe make more sense, or you'd love it.
Oops.
Okay, is that rounding there, or what's it? That's like.
Yeah, sorry.
You're not permitted to round. You need the original. Yeah. No.
My mistake. I set it to decimal instead of percent.
Oh, Okay. Wow.
Okay, so let me try this one more time. There we go. So 79, I'm surprised. I guess because fluorescent lights are yellow. Maybe fluorescent lights are associated with factories where forklifts are.
Okay. So go back to your other search where it was pretty close. You had what, feline
Feline,
stripes
yeah.
or something? What did you
Yeah,
do?
large
Large.
feline with stripes. All right, so there we get up
Wow.
to 82.
Okay. Well, 82 was okay. So just to be clear, in my limited opinion as the talk show host today, the first one, second one, third one, those first three look pretty maybe like that would make sense. But the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth, well, then you got the word domestic cats. No. So, I mean, that's the rub because we wouldn't want to return, because really, if you wanted to return this to like a normal human, you wouldn't want to give them, in this case, anything back below 82. 82 would be the threshold on this. Is 82 like our threshold in general, or just because these searches come up? We need another random string. What do you have another? We'll do another search.
Sure. Okay.
Let's
All
try
right,
that.
let's say I'll do a scientific formula.
Okay. Okay, that first one's definitely, that's a chemistry equation. Second theory has influenced biology. Okay, fine. Getting kind of stretchy there. 78. All living are composed of one or more cells. Okay, so at I wouldn't go below 78 in my limited opinion. Okay. So the problem is that it was 82 before, now it's 78 here. So when I say horseshoes and hand grenades, we're like, yeah. I mean, this is really so. So you've been playing with this for months, Will. I know this is super valuable or interesting. How do you frame this for a customer? You're like, well, this AI is going to make an attempt, but it might suck bad. How do you have that conversation with a customer? I just asking out of the blue.
Yeah, so I think we might phrase it as like it's going to find results for you no matter what. Like unless you typed in a very long esoteric string, maybe you could get to 0 results, but there's just nothing that matches. But in general, the longer your search term, it actually might give you more results the longer it gets because your term has more and more meaning. So it has more meaning to map to the meaning of your strings. So I think of it as it's not so much about how many results a user gets. It's more like using Google. Like it'll just give you page after page after page. But we're kind of trained like I'm only going to look at the first few results.
Yeah, I get that. It's because we think about finds in FileMaker are like a precision, laser guided bomb. It's a surgical thing that can go right through a window and hit the bad guys, right? Very precise. This thing is wildly unpredictable, at least from my perspective. I would not want to tell your customer that, yeah, use these results and plan your investment strategy with the billions of dollars based upon what this thing says. That would make me nervous. Okay. To Wim's question, we have people asking, can we go back and look at the embedding so people understand what we're dealing with? Just go ahead and add it to this if you want to make it less or make it wider or whatever you want to do. But yeah.
I'm going to do it in the data viewer because it's pretty large.
Oh, okay.
Get rid of that. Add. Okay, so get embedding as text is a new function. You can pass in a container. So let's say here's our embedding. I'm going to open this up so you can really see it.
I keep moving Will's head around to different spots. Okay, backup. So that is a pile of as we say in the non-technical business. So what are we? Which is it? Wait, but backup. Is that scientific formula up there? Is that what that is?
That's 1,536.
That's right. This scientific theory has profoundly influenced, et cetera, et cetera. This is the embedding of that string.
Okay, so can I? Okay, well, can I ask to just? I know I'm not micromanaging you, but you're going to feel like I'm micromanaging you. Can you humor me just for a minute or two? Can you go into your define fields real quick? Let's just make a couple field name changes. I'm not going to change anything. Just a field definition. So we have the string, then we have the one where it says embedding, can we call it string? Because it's still the string. Call it string underscore embedding. Just put the word string underscore in front of it so we know they're connected. Change. And then we have it sort by name. Just click the name, first field name. Okay, so everyone understands that we type in a string and we send the string to OpenAI, and they give us back the string embedding, which was that pile of numbers. Everyone understands that, right? The same thing happens for the input. The input is our search term. Back comes the input embedding. To get someone just asked a question, how do we get the embedding? If we want an embedding at all, it has to be sent to a large language model. Our large language model we're using is a specific product from OpenAI, so we sent it out to them through the internet and it came back. Once you have the embeddings, then we do a search that compares the embeddings, that compares that math, and it finds similarities in the math. Did I say that correctly?
Yep, that sounds right.
What we just did right here is what so far in Luciline, I'm not picking on, to be honest, I'm not picking on Bev at all. I have not read her blog and I feel really bad about this. This is the first time I've seen this dumbed down to a level that normal humans can understand. So if I say the word embedding and then do me a favor, after the word embedding, put underscore behind that word. Just put container for now so we're clear on that, and it changed, and then do the other one too. That way we know what went in there. And then if he wanted the text, the actual text, he did it as a data view because it was so big, right? But you could see him as text.
You could,
you could put it into a field and you could copy it.
It's just a monster size deal, right? So everyone's clear on how we got this, right? This is, to me, a major milestone in my understanding. I was hoping someone would. Vince, you delivered big time. I don't even know where we're at on time.
I didn't do anything. Will did all the work.
Will's doing all the work. And Will, you presented this. You guys have hit this so perfectly. So
wait, Richard, hold on.
We're not done.
No, I know we're not done, but I want to show another point of view of this. Right now, this is. It's very important to understand that this is. Kind of like it's, like if you have a field and you have, dogs, cats, horses, when you search the field, you're going to search for a lexical meaning. So you're going to say, I want to look for a dog. It's going to find dog, right? Where what this is doing is finding the meaning of what you typed, right? But it's also important to understand that you can tweak some of these things. So Will, maybe click OK here and go back to the script. And,
now that we understand how we got here, then what's the next step we can do to make it better?
So look at the script step and look at the options that you have. So you have the return count. You can specify the number of records that you return. So you can return all 1,000 records if you have. I
guess there's only 500 records in here, so I'll just put in 500 for now.
And then you could also say, I want everything that is a cosine similarity value of that number greater than, less than, or equal to. So you could say, find me everything that is opposite in meaning. Find me everything that is, similar or greater than that number, right? And so,
that's right.
So there's a lot of tweaking that you can do here to kind of help you. But the way I've used this is basically when I'm lurking for something, I put it into kind of I'll let you describe it.
I think, Richard, to your point before, when we were validating these results, we kind of started to get a feel like 78 to 77 is maybe our threshold. Like 77 is garbage. 78 is maybe that's usable. Maybe you have something higher.
Yeah.
So now I could put in scientific formula and only get 2 results. Because we said only return it if it is at least 0.78.
Now, once again, just to confirm this, the perform semantic find is not going out to OpenAI at all because we're not generating embedding. We have all the embeddings already, correct?
Almost. So to get
that one I understand, but I'm saying that find command right here is not going out.
This does not send anything to OpenAI.
You know what you could do, folks, if I'm just being greasy or greedy right here, but you'd find a way of back to our list view over here, I'd find a way of saying the high confidence. It almost like I'd want to put a sub summary on the list somehow and say high confidence and then marginally confident, and then these are the sketchy results down below here. I don't know. Once again, I am working through this in my head, trying to figure out how to present this to the customer so they don't think it's, holy writ, as we shall say, right? It's like perfectly perfect in all ways, and it's just like kind of Google taking a best guess at it.
You're mentioning sub-summary reminds me of this interesting nuance. Part of what makes the results so good, or let's say useful, is that FileMaker puts the highest number at the top. So when I first looked at that, I thought, well,
it
how
did an
does it
auto
do that?
sort. It did a sort.
It did a sort. So what is that sort?
Yes. What is the sort?
It's sorted on a container field, which we can't do. So if I just try to say, yeah, do that sort, doesn't let me do it. FileMaker can do it for us.
Nick Hunter would say, you've broken the laws of physics. You're hurting Mother Nature.
So it's like, I mean, it's super cool because it's like, it's not just giving us what it thinks are the best results, but it floats the best to the top.
Okay, yes, there's a little bit of a question here, so maybe I didn't state it correctly, or Vince didn't state it, or we stated it wrong or upside down. We have text that is in our database that we want to search against with natural language. Then and so for all of these, there is going to be a embedding, which is the mathematical nightmare for each one. That could be in text, but they are choosing to store it in a container because it's more performant and happier, which is wild, okay? We can look at it in text, but we don't have to. So every time we take this text and we create the embedding in a container, that has to go to OpenAI for processing, okay, for now in this conversation, okay? And we pay for that. Once these are all created, they don't have to be resent to OpenAI unless maybe somehow you change the text. Does that make sense? Right. Now, the next thing that comes into this, I'm going to hit Command-Z and undo a couple of these real quick, is that we have the search term up here, okay? We had to do the same thing with the search term. This is the text here. There's an embedding that we create with that get. He has a set field there. This is the container with the embedding. Once you have embeddings here and then all the embeddings here, then he does the, what's it called? Perform embedding search. What's that?
Perform semantic find.
There it is right here. And this, and you could, these are right next to each other, these two steps. They don't have to be next to each other. You can have them different in scripts or wherever. The point being is that the bottom one here does a sort. It does its own comparison in FileMaker, and then because it's comparing the containers against each other, which is some crazy stuff. In fact, Vince and I sat in some of the AI where they explained how that worked, and we all had the blood drain out of our face. And Rick Kalman took screenshots of us, Vince. We're all looking like we need a bottle of Jack Daniels to actually, and so the engineering at Claris can't explain how they did it, but you wouldn't enjoy it, right? To be clear. So are we clear on that from everyone? David Angel says, gas embedding generated, but it only works with them.
Well, you have to use the same embedding model. So you have to generate, so if you have the text, and you're going to generate the again, the word embedding is a little bit weird too, because what you're really generating is all those numbers. So
yeah, it's really the search
vectors.
The vector.
Yeah. So you generate the vectors. So you're going to get a blob of vectors for your search term, and you went and Will already generated the blob of vectors for each one of those lines of text. Right, so now you have this blob for the search term, and it's going to compare itself against all those other, blob of vectors, and then it does some sophisticated, math comparison based on all of those, and then it rolls up a number, and it says this is this cosine similarity value, and then it basically sorts by that cosine similarity value.
But I think the point is that the embeddings that we're generating are specific to that model, correct? So if we were using 3 or 4 different models, Vince, we would want 3 or 4 different containers if we were going to compare them to see how it worked, right?
Yes.
That kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd want different containers to store the embeddings, and then you'd have to just kind of be careful that you're always consistently searching on the right container
on the right
model.
one. Yeah. Well, yeah. What I would do is, for me, it'd be like, okay, well, which of the models are better? I have a dumb question, but have you folks done testing? Do you have models that you prefer that think are better, or do you have to train them? And that's of course another conversation, I guess. So.
I have not tested with any other models except this one.
Okay.
So I think my only insight is that this model, I think we said, has 1,500 something dimensions. Some models have 4,000 dimensions.
Oh,
Some have millions of dimensions.
And
oh no.
dimensions are just like a classification. So let's say you had something that had 2 dimensions and you have the word dog. You would say the size of the dog and the color of the dog. Okay.
Mhm.
So like if you have a small dog, a big dog, right? So it would rate that dimension over there. And so then you would compare those 2 dimensions against the other two. And then it would look and do math based on all the matches for each of the dimensions, and it matches them, based on whatever the categorization of each of those the dimensions are, and then you
Okay.
get a number. Yeah, so like, and that's a simple way to state it. But there was actually a question from someone about the embedding search can be done across different languages, and I believe that is correct. Like if you were to type in Japanese or French, semantically getting the result of you generate the embedding value based on what you're typing, that it could compare based on different languages, like it would translate it and the embedding would work. But I'm not an expert. I think I heard that from Nicholas Franco. So I'd have to double check on that, but I think it does work, even if you were to, look at this database and I only type in French, so I could type my search term in French. It would go off to OpenAI
Oh,
and
no
generate the
way.
embeddings.
Really?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
way.
I
Jonathan Ray, I
believe.
say it's one of my engineers asked that question. There's a question here about cost. Do you want to go back and hit that cost? Because Vince, you were going to look at that. Do we want to? Can you take screenshots? You don't have to see your account, but how do you screenshot? How do you know kind of
Yeah,
the?
for 500 of those, and like generating the 500 embeddings, we're talking literally cents. I couldn't find it right now, but I'll have it for tomorrow.
Yeah, bring it tomorrow. Let's
Yeah,
revisit the price tomorrow.
I just pasted in the chat of this meeting the French term. So just go ahead and copy that formule scientifique and see if you
Okay.
get the same results.
Okay.
Oh, you
I'm
broke it.
wrong. I know. That's weird.
I'm not particularly surprised because I think ChatGPT in general, but probably this embedding model specifically, is trained on English.
Oh,
But that
I
doesn't mean
see.
there aren't other models that might be trained on multiple languages
Well,
to be
you
able to
always have to
support
get it done
this.
before tomorrow, so no pressure, right? So
Yeah.
no, I mean seriously, that's the whole idea of these models, right? So Peter, we coded the 78 in there on manual. So can you go back over there, Will, and
Yep. Yeah,
because
right
people,
there.
yeah. So let me clear all. So we set 78 right here. So we told it to don't give us anything below 78. But if he doesn't put that, it gives you backup. It gives you the top 10. Is that? Can you go back to that
Like,
function? Go drill into that function. Let's take a look at that again. So we
okay.
have record set, all records, target field, find, return count. We could.
If this is empty, if you don't pick a number, it's going to use the number 10.
Oh, so we actually said give us up to 500, and
Yeah.
that's dynamically set with a variable or whatever you could do. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay, what were the other options there? Return something greater than or equal, which means it's trying to get the similarity of it, right?
That's right.
And then we had that wasn't the limit. Go back. That was just the search, right? Is that what it was doing? That's the search. Where's the limit? The limit is this one, right? Because of similarity
this one.
value. That's a really poorly labeled, well, in my limited opinion as a beginning person, that's a poorly labeled field in that dialogue. It should say, don't show anything below minimum. It should say minimum value or whatever it should say over here. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the
Yeah,
other pop-up
the word minimum is kind of like we're inferring it based on how we're using this. Like we said, it has to be greater than, but to Vince's point, you could say it has to be less than. Like we're looking for something dissimilar to the search term that has nothing to do with scientific formulas or nothing to do with large striped felines.
Yeah, that okay, that would be really
I
interesting.
haven't thought of a
What
use
to
case
know.
for that yet, but I'm sure
Uh,
something really cool will come up.
Opposite of that. Well, Shmiegel wants to know what model we're using again from OpenAI. Can you tell us the model there
Okay.
again?
Yeah,
It's in
this text embedding ADA002. And
and
OpenAI has documentation on their models. So mostly I've just been able to look at their website, very quickly scan it. Like at the first time, I think I tried using a non-embedding model, so I got an error. And then I found, oh, here are the list of embedding models that I can choose from.
this is a huge live stream, gentlemen, and we are at the top of the hour. So I need this is your captain speaking. Please put your laptops and tray tables up so we can land the airplane. But they're going to be back tomorrow. So what are we going to do tomorrow? Right? I mean,
If you're open to it, we could explore some different demo files that kind of play with a few of the other functions that we haven't covered yet.
yes.
A
Well,
few
now that I have a
configurations and
basics here, we can grow our understanding of this. This was huge. This is really huge. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
you bet. And then I think also like if we could look at different use cases, because I think we've seen like these 500 strings are kind of arbitrary. You don't necessarily have your data structured in this way, but maybe if we could look at different kinds of data. We've got some cool ones like how do you find matching positions for a resume, or how do you make sure that a user doesn't input duplicate data? Just things like that. So there's all kinds of cool stuff we can do with it.
Tomorrow's gonna be awesome. I am excited. Yeah, there we go. So give us the quick pitch on Beeswax. What are you guys doing, and why should we care about who Beeswax is? Besides, you guys are awesome with AI.
Oh my God, Beeswax has been around longer than I've been a part of it. I've been at Beeswax for 20 years, 20 years, and Julian has started the company way before that. Founded in Oakland, and I mean we're a company that's doing FileMaker development, web development, Tableau analytics.
Are you still using
DevOps.
Tableau? Are you still doing Tableau?
Yeah, we're still doing Tableau. Yeah, we
Okay.
still do that. And then we're a large team of people. I would actually just like to mention that Will actually has a 3-part blog that talks about all this AI stuff. So if you go to blog.beeswax.net, you can do a search on his blog posts on AI, and you can read up on those blog posts. And there's a lot of other blog posts. So so we do a lot of different things.
I'm going to try doing a semantic search on our blog to see if we can find the blog post. We'll see if we got it on our web yet.
Alex Spring had a question real quick. Why does it showing weights of 0.77 and 0.76 if the limit was 0.78?
That is a great question. So something that happened here.
Yeah. What the hell?
Actually, Vince, I think I misspoke when I said that this didn't work. I'm now realizing from Alex's question. So the way that I wrote this script is I set the embedding in this field for this French term.
Yes.
These percentages are now referring to that term, even though this step said I found 0 records, meaning this threshold, and therefore I'm not going to change your found set.
Go ahead and remove that just for now. Move the 78 there to see what it comes back with. That would be really interesting. Hey, it's not Alex. It is Alex. Alex, thank you for a great question.
All right, let's try this again.
Actually,
he speaks French.
I told you.
It does work. It does work.
I told you.
But the percentages were, notice they were a little different.
Richard, c'est les Français, hein? Il faut dire, hein? C'est ça, hein? Don't get the French all rivaled up. It stands to reason from my point of view that, again, it's all just numerical values. And if they're all categorized like so you have those 1,536 dimensions, and the first dimension is saying size, it doesn't matter what language you're looking in. It's just going to be size. So like, okay.
But it has to mean it was trained on enough French that it understands these French words.
Yeah, well, that's the black box.
Super cool.
Nature. Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow.
So,
all right. Well, I feel a lot better about that. But it was already an awesome demo, and then you guys just stuck the landing. Oh, it's a 10.0 from the German judge. All right.
Thank,
Well,
thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter.
thank you, Peter. Yeah, this is a team effort here. Great. Brooke says, great episode. Awesome stuff. Yeah, more tomorrow. Should be exciting. All right. So that, everyone, that is it for today. The AI did not kill or eat anyone. So, which is always awesome when we have the Terminator music going. I want to appreciate Vince Menanno and Will. Will, how do I say your last name? Is it Miro?
Miro.
Miro. Okay, great. All right, everyone. Have a good one. I appreciate it. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.